So what are the main factors when it comes to your credit score? How is your credit score calculated? Interesting stuff here. First thing is your payment history. Credit score. You know, the challenge that we have is many people are walking around, they only know their credit score when they're going to apply for something. When they're going to get a car loan or a credit card, or they are going to apply for something, that's when they know their credit score. Or there's this bankruptcy or a delinquency, or their account got reported to the credit collection agency, or any of those things, right? This type of information on your credit history is very negative. Guys fired up? Are you excited? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me in the chat, okay? Awesome. Great to see you, champions. I am excited to be here with you on Money Monday. Hey, listen, if you have a team member or a guest or someone that is supposed to be here with you tonight, reach out to them and make sure they're on the call with you, because today is going to be a powerful session. And we are going to have some fun tonight. So let me share my screen and we're going to jump right into it, because time is money. Do you agree? Hey, I want to switch gears with you for a second. Think about this for a second. Let's say you go to the bank and you apply for a credit card. Or let's say you want a house, you want to buy a house, right? So you go and you find the house that you want. Then you go to the mortgage lender and you apply for a loan. Or let's say you want to purchase a new car. So you shop around, you go to different dealers, right? Shop around, you find the one that you like, and you ask the dealer for a car loan. Or let's say you want to rent a place. So you go around, you look at different homes, different apartments, you find the one that you like. And then you go to the landlord and you decide to do the landlord-tenant agreement. You decide to sign off on it. What will all of these companies do before going ahead? You know what they're going to do? They're going to check your credit score for one simple reason, because lenders, they want to know one thing: how you've handled debt in the past, right? And that is going to tell them how likely you're going to handle it in the future. So today's topic is what everyone must know about their credit score. We're going to take a deep dive into the credit score, the system, the modeling, how it works from A to Z. All right, so grab a pen, grab a paper. This is going to help you. Last week, we were talking about financial independence, and one of my points was to monitor your credit score. Okay, one of my points was to monitor your credit score, and many people were talking about how that works. How does the credit score work? So today we're going to do a deep dive into the credit score and how it works. So I hope you're fired up about that, and I hope you're excited about that, and it's going to change you. All right, so let's start with the beginning. What is your credit score? So your credit score, essentially, it's a 3-digit number. And it comes from the information that's on your credit report, right? So what it does is it shows how well you manage credit, how risky it's going to be for you, all right? For a lender or someone that issues credit, how risky is it going to be for the lenders to lend you money? And your credit score, it's calculated, like I said, from the information. They use a formula, which I'm going to show you, that's on your credit report. One thing you got to understand or remember or keep in mind is the higher your credit score, the better. The higher your credit score, the better. So what are the main factors when it comes to your credit score? How is your credit score calculated? Interesting stuff here. First thing is your payment history. This information is how you repay the credit that you've already had. All right, the credit that you already had, different credit accounts that you've already used in the past, They want to see how you've repaid it. So your credit cards, your line of credit, you go to the Home Depot or Walmart or, any of those stores that have the retail department store accounts. Car loans is on there, student loans. If you take out a home equity line of credit, or you have a mortgage, whether for your primary residence or your secondary residence, or maybe you have a vacation property somewhere, or maybe you have an investment property somewhere, all of these payments get tracked on your credit report, which derives your credit score. Now, there's two parts to the payment history, and the first part is the payment on time. So they're looking as to how well you pay things on time. And the second part is the late or missed payments, and also the collection information, right? So your credit score is going to look at how late your payments were, how much was owed, how recently and how often you missed the payment. Now, your credit history is also going to tell the lender how many of your credit accounts were delinquent in relations to all of the accounts that you have on file. So let's say that you have, a credit card here, you have a home equity line of credit here, you have a mortgage there, a car loan there, and let's say you have 12 different credit accounts, right? And let's say you've had late payments on 6 of those accounts, then the ratio is going to impact your credit score. So because, 6 of them out of the 12, a 50% ratio, it's too high, it's going to have a negative impact on your credit score. Make sense? So that's very, very important that you understand. So 35% goes towards payment history. The second one is your used credit versus available credit. So what this does is it analyzes how much of the total available credit is being used on your credit cards or your other credits, right? Line of credit, all of your credits total, revolving credits, all of those things. So it wants to see, are you using all of the credit that you were giving? By the way, a revolving line of credit is basically a loan that allows you to borrow and repay, then reuse the credit up to its limit, right? So you borrow, you repay, you borrow, you repay, and it's revolving. Also, what's included in the area is the total credit limit. So this is the maximum that you can borrow against any particular credit. So let's say you have a $2,500 credit card, or let's say you have a $10,000 credit card. And what it's looking for is, out of that $10,000, how much have you used? The more you have used, the more negative it affects your credit score, right? You don't want to utilize all of the credit that's on your credit card. And I'll go into this in more details in a second. The next is your credit history. So your credit history, what this section does is it looks at your credit file and it sees how long your credits has been in existence. So your credit score, the calculation, it's typically including both your youngest and your oldest. So your newest and your oldest credit accounts, how long it's been open, right? And then the next one is public records. So public records is those people that they had a prior history, let's say, of bankruptcy, or maybe they had a collection, or maybe they had negative public records and that were considered to be risky, and they put that on their credit report. All right. So if you have these events showing on the credit score, or on the credit report rather, it impacts the credit score negatively. Then we have inquiries. So inquiries, what this is anytime an individual, their credit file is accessed for any reason, but maybe a lender requested it, whoever requested it, it's logged on the report. So you can go and check your report and you can see who has requested your credit score or your credit report. You personally can check. No one is allowed to check your credit score without your permission, right? Every time someone checks it, it means you would have given them permission to check it. Make sense? Is that making sense so far? So now the only inquiries that are going to impact your credit score, because many people don't want people checking their credit score because they're thinking, okay, if too many people are checking my credit score, it impacts it. Yes and no. Only hard inquiries does that. What's a hard inquiry? And I'm going to go into more details in a second. A hard inquiry is someone that is looking for a new loan or a credit card or something of the sort. That's known as a hard inquiry. And we're going to discuss hard inquiry and soft inquiries later on. So what factors are going to impact your credit score? You know, the challenge that we have is many people are walking around, they only know their credit score when they're going to apply for something. When they're going to get a car loan or a credit card, or they are going to apply for something, that's when they know their credit score. What are the impacts, or what impacts the credit score? And where I want you to end up is where you know your credit score before you apply for something, right? So when it comes to financial progress and credit, it's important that you understand what impacts your score, what impacts your credit report. Let's jump into it. First thing is, are you making your payments on time? This is one of the biggest indicators and key behaviors that all lenders and creditors, they look at. They want to see, are the bills being paid on time? Right? That's the big question. They want to know, are you paying the bills on time? So since this is one of the strongest predictors, you know, if you're going to meet your financial obligation, this is what they use to measure the credit score, or calculate rather the credit score, as a huge part of it. It's one of the most important factors. The next thing is, do you have different types of credit accounts? You see, credit scores, they factor in the mix of different types of credits, right? Credit cards, installment loans, mortgages, store accounts, all of these things, right? So if you have, did you know this? If you have too many different credit accounts, or you don't have a mix of different types of accounts, both can negatively impact your credit score. So too many different credit accounts and not having a mix of different types of credit accounts can negatively impact your score, right? Next thing, how many new credit cards have you opened? You got to be careful that you're not opening up too many accounts at once, and you're not opening up more accounts than you actually need. You see, your credit score usually looks at how many new accounts that you had, as well as how many new accounts that you have applied for recently. So it's looking at both. And if you have too many accounts, people say, well, what's the big deal if I keep opening up new accounts, new accounts, new accounts? What's the big deal? If you have too many new accounts, what this indicates to the creditors and to the lenders is that you're taking on a lot of new debt, and you might be a high-risk borrower. This is how they look at it. This is how they look at it. The other area is, how old are your credit accounts? So in general, you know, the creditors, what they're looking to see is how long you've been able to handle your credit accounts over a period of time. They're looking for fiscal responsibility. So credit accounts that have a longer history, right? They show responsible credit behavior. And this goes positively on the credit score. So when they're calculating the credit score, it goes positively. Now, newer accounts, what happens when you have newer accounts, they lower the average age account. So what they're doing is they're taking the average of your new account and your old accounts. So if you have too many new accounts, it goes negatively, right? So all the new, every time you get a new credit card, a new mortgage, a new home equity line of credit, a new car loan, all of these things, when they're new, they negatively affect you. As you hold on to them for a longer period of time, it affects your credit score positively. Next thing you got to ask is, are your balances high? And when I say high, I mean in relation to your total credit limit. So if you have a $10,000 credit card, is it maxed out? Is it at the $10,000 mark? The creditors, They want to see a lower debt to ratio income, lower debt to credit ratio, sorry. So what's a debt to credit ratio? Well, that's the amount of credit that you're using compared to the overall. So if you have a $10,000 credit card and you've used $50,000, $5,000, your credit debt to credit ratio is 50%, right? So if all your credit cards, they're maxed out or they're near the limit, it's going to impact the credit score negatively. And what it's telling the lenders, let me tell you how they look at it. What they're seeing is you have too much debt. You have too much debt. This is how they look at it, right? You have too much debt. Next question. Do you have any judgments or liens or foreclosures? You know, you hear someone, oh, they have a lien on my house, or they have a lien on my car, or they have a lien on my boat, or there's this bankruptcy or a delinquency, or, you know, their account got reported to the credit collection agency, or any of those things, right? This type of information on your credit history is very negative, very, very negative. So if you've gone through any type of financial hardship and you had to file for bankruptcy, let's say, or you went through foreclosure or any of those things, the credit score, it's impacted negatively. And here's the worst part. For years and years and years, you're impacted, right? You're impacted. So the question comes, you know, we were talking about inquiries, hard inquiries, soft inquiries. Let me just put it very simply. If we have a hard inquiry, it's going to impact the credit score. Not every inquiry is going to impact your credit score. So if you have an individual or a company that's requesting your credit, all right, they want access to your credit report, what's going to happen? Let's say if it's a hard inquiry. What is a hard inquiry? This is when someone is checking it for some sort of credit, maybe for a credit card or a loan, right? You're applying for something that requires your credit. If someone is doing that, it's considered a hard inquiry. What's a soft inquiry? The opposite. This is where you check your own. So you're not looking for credit for yourself. You're just checking your own credit score. There's no impact on your credit score when you check it. All right. This is one of the big myths out there. People think if you check your own credit score, it's going to lower it. It doesn't work that way, right? You can check your credit score every day if you like, and it's not going to touch your score, right? It's not going to impact your score. All right. So one of the things I want to talk about is, and I talked about this last week, but I want to reiterate it this week. Monitor your credit. Check it, right? Check your credit. So you said, Jermaine, that's all fine and dandy. How do I do it? How do I check my credit? Well, you can check your credit by going to Equifax or TransUnion, and you sign up, you get an account, you can check it one time, or you can pay a monthly fee in order to have it monitored. But either way, you should check your credit score. You should check your report. Reason being, there might be some things that are on your report that you're not aware of. Sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes there's identity theft or fraud, and things are on your credit score and you don't know. You're being penalized for something that you didn't even do. And it's on your credit score, on your credit report, right? And you don't want to wait until you need your score before you're trying to fix it, right? You don't want to wait until, for example, you're going to get a mortgage and then you realize, something's on there. What happened? You want to do that ahead of time, because it takes time for them to remove that, right? You need to back up everything, but it will be removed. It just takes time. So you want to make sure you're monitoring your credit report, your credit score. You want to make sure that you check it frequently. Find one of these websites that you feel comfortable with. Tamori and I, we personally use Equifax, right? We have a monthly subscription to Equifax. We can check it every single day if we want to, and they send us a report, and we can go online and pull our credit report anytime that we want, right? I think it's like $20-something to do that every single month. And it's awesome because we are on top of it. We can see what's happening in real time. So if it's one thing that I would really suggest to you, really recommend, is that you monitor your credit, right? You monitor your credit score, monitor what's happening, check it frequently, and that way you can be on top of the game. Make sense? Let me know that you're still with me. Show me something in the chat box. Show me an emoticon, or a fire, or a thumbs up, or show me something. All right, there we go. Awesome. Hey, by the way, did this help you? Did you find any value with any of this? Did any of this help you? Yeah, awesome. Good. We're going to do more deep dives into credit scores and how it works, because I think it's one of the areas that many people, they don't know, right? They just don't know, and they don't look at it until they need it. And at that point, it's too late, right? It's too late. So you want to look at this stuff ahead of time. And that's why we're always promoting financial literacy.